Hello and welcome to the BigFix Briefing Room. My name is Michelle McGough and I'm here with Mr. Joe Saylor. And we are going to tell you all about what's happening with Microsoft Patch and some other exciting stuff with zero-day vulnerabilities. So Joe, take it away.
Yeah, so with Patch Tuesday this month, we're actually looking at a hilariously large number of CVEs, 172 for this month, individual vulnerabilities. That's just really large. Normally we'd see like 50 or 60 in an average month. Our usual highs are near 100, and this just like blows all them away. So by the numbers, very large. There are a couple of really scary ones today. One on Windows Server Update Service, and a couple of sandbox escapes, which we haven't seen in a little while, as well as 6 0 days.
That's all. All right. Thanks, Joe. Yeah, let's pour one out.
Yeah, I do want to say goodbye to Windows 10. This is the very last set of patches for Windows 10. It is officially out of support. So if you're like me and have been holding on all the way to the last day, now's the time. Gotta get those upgrades done.
Yeah. Yes, and you can still purchase end of support updates or ESUs from Microsoft, and BigFix will help you push those out just like a regular patch. So if that's something you're interested in, get with your TA or your PSS, and we will help you use those Windows 10 ESUs. But I noticed something new this year. Microsoft is offering ESU support for consumers. So if you have a consumer edition of Windows 10, not only can you get those ESUs, which typically cost $61 a year per device, you can actually get them for free if you're on a consumer edition. So if you do a little Google searching, you'll be able to find out how to enroll in those. And I have kind of a follow-up question for you, Joe. The number of CVEs this month is really high. Do you associate any of that with this just being the last round of patching for Windows 10?
Yeah, there's probably a little bit of that. Just in general, I kind of attribute the number of CVEs to AI involvement in the security research space, with more and better automated methods to detect vulnerabilities. We're just going to see more and more numbers. I don't know if this is the first in a really big trend, but in general, we've seen quite a few in recent months.
Well, all I know is it's expensive to keep this old stuff around, so I think everybody wants to get off of Windows 10 if you can. If you can't, you can buy yourself a runway for the rest of this year, and maybe you can extend that into next year depending on what Microsoft is willing to offer. So thanks, Joe. I think we're going to get into some of the more bad news next.
Yeah, some of the bad news. So we're going to start out with the 0 days. I tried to categorize these together, but they really don't all fit in neat categories. So first up, we got 3 that are all local escalation of privilege vulnerabilities. These all require a attacker to have already gained some access to the system. They need to have a user account, some sort of compromise there. So these aren't initial compromises, which to me makes them not quite as threatening, but they do allow elevation to system privileges from that low privileged user account.
Okay, I see you've got a couple here that have they're referencing a modem driver. Does this require someone actually actively having a modem, or is it just the existence of the driver?
Yeah, no, this doesn't require you to actually be using something from the Stone Age. So just the fact that this driver exists in Windows is enough for a local attacker to make use of it. So you don't actually have to have the hardware installed or anything like that.
That's what I was worried about. Okay, all right.
All right, and a couple others that vaguely fit together as hardware vulnerabilities. In the TPM module, there is a read vulnerability where an attacker, again, that already has compromised the system, can read active memory. So anything that's in memory today, they can just read stuff like, not necessarily usernames or passwords, but currently active documents, that sort of thing can be read from memory due to this one.
Okay.
And then the other one is a secure boot bypass for the operating system. This doesn't get by stuff like BitLocker. So you already almost certainly have mitigations in place that mostly protect you from this, but um, a hyper local attacker, so someone with physical access to the box, they can bypass secure boot protections.
I see both of these are rated really low, and this is because you need local access.
Yeah,
And
and because they're kind of limited in what a compromise would mean. So for the TPM vulnerability, they can only read active memory. There's no means of like running an application through this particular vulnerability.
Okay, thanks, Joe.
All right, and now we kind of escalate the severity here, in my opinion. This is another 0-day. It is a vulnerability for AMD processors only. So any hypervisor running on an AMD processor has a vulnerability where if an attacker has compromised the system, so they need writes on it, they need pretty high writes too. They would need like administrator rights on your hypervisor. So we're talking a fairly serious compromise already. But it's kind of a reverse sandbox escape where the compromised host allows access to memory on the guest boxes. So any OS that's on that host, an attacker will have access to, which is, fairly serious. It should be somewhat difficult to actually make use of because you need such a high privileged account to begin this attack.
Okay. All right. Thank you. More sandbox escape than I'm seeing in 9.9. So this one must be much worse.
Yeah, and as far as 9.9s go, it's like worse than it seems. That number almost doesn't do it justice. The fire does it a little more justice. So this is an actual sandbox escape where if you view a malicious JPEG, so if you just visit a website that loads an image, it can allow remote code execution on the host from your guest virtual machine. So it does require a user to make a mistake. You do have to click on something, but generally speaking, we, like even security professionals, are kind of trained that anything that happens in the sandbox stays in the sandbox. And so this particular vulnerability really circumvents what we think of as safe behavior. And so in my opinion, it's even more likely to be exploited than normal because, I'll click on a website in a virtual box, like I don't care, burn it down, it's fine. But as soon as that escapes up to the host, then burning my host down is not as fine. Like I don't appreciate that.
Yeah, and this goes along with, this theme, this sandbox escape theme for VMs, we've seen this all year, and maybe even early last year. There's been so much of it that I can't even keep track of it anymore. And I think it's just really, to your point, I think the first time that you brought this up was I always thought it was safe for me to use a VM, and it's just not anymore. It's not a safe place like it used to be. So the value proposition on VMs, that's not really what the value prop is about. So, I think it doesn't destroy the value of VMs, but for technicians, it does make it a little bit less useful, I think, and more concerning.
Yeah, it just makes clicking on slightly questionable stuff even more dangerous than it used to be. There's definitely been a trend, right? We've seen this probably going back at least a year and a half, maybe 2 years, where just every 6 months or so, there is some sort of sandbox escape, be it a browser sandbox or an actual operating system sandbox, that it just isn't something you can trust anymore. Because if there's a couple out there that we know of, there's more that we don't, right? So yeah, that's definitely for me, it was for sure a change in perspective.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. All right. What's next? Oh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, so this one's kind of brutal. The Windows Server Update service on the client has an unauthenticated, no user interaction required, network vector remote code execution vulnerability, which it checks all the bad boxes. Like this is just all the things that make a vulnerability really, really threatening. Hopefully, if you are using BigFix or patching, you probably don't have WSUS on any of your servers, but maybe you have it as a backup patch vector or maybe you're using it for another reason. Just pay close attention to those WSUS-enabled servers. They're the ones that need to be patched practically immediately. So if you're going to accelerate your patching this month on anything, it should be anywhere that WSUS exists, because this one is really brutal. Any attacker with line of sight, network line of sight on these boxes can just own it, can just take it over at will.
I would just like to go to the judges and challenge that 9.8 score. I mean, what does a vulnerability have to do to earn a 10? I feel like it's ticking all the boxes, right? Unauthenticated, no user interaction, it's remote. What's missing here for it to score a perfect score of 10?
Scope. The scope on this is unchanged. So if it had been a changed scope where that's like if the attacker could take over another account or swap domain contacts, like that would be the next step up from this. But as far as a single machine compromise, it's about as bad as it can get.
Yeah, that's really good information, Joe. Thank you. I can't wait to find out what you have selected.
Yeah, so surprisingly, that's all the major critical things for this month. Given the vast number of CVEs, I kind of would have expected more broad problems. But yeah, pretty much just the WSUS update and the hypervisors are the ones. And then for the stories of the month, this one just made me laugh. This is the new Mike Mouse attack vector. This is in the news of people are terrible human beings and they think of just really awful things to do to compromise your security. How this works is that high performance mice nowadays are extremely sensitive, especially gaming mice. Like they have crazy DPI numbers, and the sensitivity is so high that the vibration of the laser when someone is talking can produce audio signals.
Well, we saw a novel attack vector like this. We've seen a few over the past couple of years. This reminds me of one of those. This is really it's a novel vector though. This isn't actively being exploited that we know of.
Yeah, well, so security researchers have proof of concept. So they have an application that can read logs from some of these mice, because some of it they store their data as telemetry. And so from those logs, they can decode what you were saying while the mouse was turned on.
Oh, so it's measuring itself and gathering the data for the attacker. That's really really helpful. Okay.
Yeah. So just I don't think that this has been used in an actual attack yet, but there is code out there that makes it happen. Like it can be done today. So yeah, I mean, your mouse is listening to you, and it's listening all the time. So I really expect that as I talk about stuff near my mouse, I am going to get more just mysterious ads that are exactly what I was talking about. So,
well, folks,
can't wait for that.
He's just going to get ads for, let's see, snowboarding equipment and downhill mountain biking equipment. That's not so bad. You could do worse, Joe.
I guess that wouldn't actually be a mystery, would it?
It really didn't. Oh, fantastic. Yeah. I'm excited about this. Some of these new releases. So we're doing more with Android, so we can work with the private versioning. I haven't had a customer use case for this yet. I think this came out of another team, so I'm interested to know a little bit more about this if you're familiar with it. But I did hear about the improved health check dashboard, and I saw that in the new release training. So that's really exciting. Can you tell us more about the private versioning benefit?
Yeah. So in BigFix Mobile 3.4, we now have the ability to separate your Android version apps into different rings or different groups, essentially so that you can have in test the latest version of an application. And that'll be, your group of 5 or 6 developers or whatever, just testing out whether it works, whether it's going to crash all your other applications. And then it allows you to set a production group. So that would be the vast majority of your users. And then when a new version comes out, you throw it in test it out, see what happens. And then you can just promote it directly to production to deploy via policy from there to the rest of your users.
Oh, that's fantastic. So we see a lot of these devices in retail. situations like point of sale, kiosks. Like even if you go to a restaurant and you can order what you want to eat at the kiosk, this is an example where we often see Android and the ability to be able to test changes which occur all the time for promotions, taxes, all sorts of things, to be able to get those tested and then rolled out quickly. There's a lot of value to that. So I'm really excited to see that.
Yeah, that was one I was just excited to see. I like it. There's a whole bunch of other features. Of course, go check the full notes for them. But that was the one that stood out to me.
Well, I know we always get to cherry pick the benefits in this video format, so that was great. It was a good choice. Well, if you stayed with us this long, we really appreciate you. We'll be back next week with more of next month. Wish it was next week, Joe, but we'll be back next month with more information about what's going on with monthly patching. Thanks, everybody.